What's up, everyone? Tyler DeLuca here, and I'm back with my 3 takeaways from this past week in women's basketball. It was another incredibly chaotic week in conference play. Let's dive right in. Man, what are we supposed to do with the Pac-12? I mean, the Pac-12 is absolutely insane, and a big reason for that chaos this week was Utah. They beat both USC and UCLA, and right now, they kind of feel like one of those teams that could beat anybody on any night, on the right night, if that makes sense. I don't think that this is some Final Four team, but when they're on, y'all. The three-point shooting is insane, the way that they're able to space the floor, and obviously you have Alyssa Peely, who has been, incredible, right? But here's the reason why I think this now, more than ever. Let's dive in, because at times, Alyssa Peely, whether it be the foul trouble or just where she's kind of operating on the court, it feels like she can get kind of phased out of games. It feels like that can happen from time to time. But right now, the others around Peely are performing better than I think I've seen them really play at all this year. They're doing it right now against some of the best teams in the nation. So yes, I think right now, Utah can beat just about any team. On the right night, when they're playing like they can play, man, because I feel like they really haven't gotten both Peely and the others rolling at their top level at the same time. I don't, and honestly, I don't know if you really can, like the give and take of that, just there's only one ball to go around in that case. But they've now shown me that they can beat top 10 teams in 2 different ways. They beat USC with Alyssa Peely putting up 37 points, having a phenomenal performance. But that was kind of her game, right? That was, all right, Peely won this game for us. But UCLA was the exact opposite. Peely didn't have a great game by any means. UCLA pretty well handled her. But the others that came in were absolutely huge. You had Kennedy McQueen. You had Deja Young that really came through at different points in this game. And Alyssa Peely wasn't like, she produced for sure, but not to 37 points. Not in the same way that we saw in the USC game. So right now, I'm keeping an eye on Utah. They're going to jump up their rankings with these 2 wins, and they absolutely deserve it. And right now, with the others playing, like the way that they're playing right now, around Alyssa Peely, on the right night, they can beat anyone. And I'll tell you right now, they're increasingly looking like it's the right night every night. The way that they're playing right now. Ever since they lost back-to-back to Arizona and Stanford towards the beginning of Pac-12 play, they've started turning it around. And these 2 wins against both LA teams might just be the moment that we say, okay, Utah officially turned the corner. It's going to be interesting to keep an eye on to see how long they can keep this up. They're, a very 3-heavy team, but they shoot it very well. But you never know kind of what to expect when it comes to a three-point shooting team be a little bit more volatile. But right now, they're looking confident. They're looking a little bit more consistent with it. I'm very excited to see where Utah can go. I'm not saying they're a Final Four team, but I'm telling you right now, I wouldn't want to play them. Okay, we're going to get back to the Pac-12 in a second, but let's go to the Big 12 because history is looking increasingly possible. Never in the history of the Big 12 Player of the Year Award has a freshman won it. And right now, the door is just increasingly being pulled open for it to be a possibility. I'll tell you why. Look across the board at what we kind of perceived as the top contenders going into the season, and we're performing like it. Roy Harmon is now out for the season. Sedona Prince has missed an extended amount of time. Ayoka Lee is going to miss 4 weeks. Tiana Jackson from Kansas is now out with injury with no timetable from the moment that we were recording this. Madison Booker and potentially even Audi Crooks might be the top candidates by the time that conference play is over. And they've well earned it. It's not like they're just being handed this reward. I mean, Madison Booker right now looks fantastic in the point guard role. It's increasingly growing, but the production is still there. Texas is still winning. The drop-off, and I think I've said this before on here, but the drop-off that Texas has had has been substantially less than I had anticipated them to have when Roy Harmon went down. And that is all because of Madison Booker. She has been incredible. And Audi Crooks for Iowa State, the same. Just the way that Iowa State was supposed to have an incredibly down year. They started off struggling. They get Emily Ryan back in the lineup, but Addie Crooks, she's been phenomenal. She really, really has. And either of these two players, if they can stay healthy, might just have a case. If they keep winning, if they keep producing, there's absolutely a world where a freshman wins Big 12 Player of the Year for the first time. Right now, I think Madison Booker would be my pick. I mean, especially by the time that 4 weeks goes by with Ayoka Lee being out, it might just be Madison Booker making history in the Big 12. Okay, now back to the Pac-12. Let's talk about Stanford, because obviously Tara VanDerveer just made history, winning her 1,203rd game, becoming the all-time winningest coach in college basketball history. So a little congratulations to her. But I want to talk about how they won that game. It's time to fear Stanford, y'all. It's time to fear Stanford, because for a little context, Cameron Brink was out for this game with injury. This game against Oregon State, who is now a ranked team, a very solid team, they have some size that can really match up with Stanford. I had this kind of circled on my calendar once I saw that Cameron Brink was going to be out as a potential upset watch game. And I think Oregon State can even I think they're solid enough to upset teams even when they're healthy. But I was kind of keeping an eye on this one. Like, how's this going to go down with no Cameron Brink? It went just fine, because Kiki Iriafen is one of them ones. Stanford has two elite bigs. I mean, this stat line, 36 points and 12 rebounds. Obviously a great stat line. That's 36 points with no free throws. Not one. Straight buckets. That's not normal. That doesn't really happen, especially for a big. And a lot of that was face-up game. She looks like offensively, just the mold of Asia Wilson was used to create the offensive bag of Kiki Iriafen. I mean, can't blame her. Asia Wilson's one of the best to do it. So it's incredible. I've kind of been thinking, I was like looking ahead, right, to Stanford in the ACC, which sounds weird to even say, but I was thinking ahead, and I was like, man, when Cameron Brink leaves to go to the WNBA, Kiki, how is she going to handle this? You know, like, I fully trust her to handle it. I think she's going to do great, but like, how is it going to be? And we got our first glimpse with this game. And oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. She is going to be just fine. She already looks great. And the thing is, why I feel like it's really now is the time to fear Stanford is, yes, I still have question marks about the guard play. I don't really trust their guards. However, no team in the nation is matching up with both Cameron Brink and Kiki Iriafen. You're just not going to do it. It's not happening. You don't have the size. I promise you, you don't. And that's terrifying for the rest of the country. They're the best big duo in the nation by far. And they maximize both, but they're both on the court. They've really made it work very well. Like, I've been very impressed with the way that they've been able to handle having two talents at the same position that can go produce in the ways that they can. And right now, I mean, the Pac-12 is still wide open because the Pac-12 keeps beating everybody in the Pac-12. I mean, I'd fear Stanford because you're just not going to match up with them. South Carolina might really be the only team that can comfortably do it. And comfortably is potentially a stretch because I don't know if anybody can comfortably match up with Kiki and Brink. Kiki is one of them ones. We know about Cameron Brink, but please, I'm begging you, do not sleep on Kiki Iriafen. She's going to be huge for them this season and even bigger for them next year when Cameron Brink goes to the WNBA. Stanford is a team in the top 10 that I feel like is kind of going under the radar, but don't sleep on them just because there's other teams in the Pac-12 that are also very good. Don't sleep on Stanford because that big duo can take out anybody in the nation. All right, y'all, that's going to do it for me this week for my top 3 takeaways from this past week in women's basketball. I'll be back next week, but until then, let me know what are your biggest takeaways from this past week, and I'll see you next time.